The charity Barnardo's is calling for a legal loophole in child grooming laws to be closed. In a report published after a cross-party inquiry, it urged ministers to tighten legislation to make it easier to arrest grooming suspects.
With us this morning to talk about this, Alison Worsley from Barnardo's and Duncan Craig, who was groomed as a child and has since started a support group for others. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Alison, first of all, just tell us broadly, what's the scale of the problem at the moment?
The scale of the problem is massively underrepresented. So Barnardo's is the leading charity working in this area, but we work with about 2,000 victims of sexual exploitation every year. We've been working in this area for 20 years and the number just keeps growing and growing as more people understand that grooming process that children go through, some of the signs to look out for and what they can do about it. Our numbers just increase, unfortunately.
And you're talking about this legal loophole that you want closed.
Yes.
So what is the loophole?
Well, there are two that we want to close that would allow police to intervene a little bit earlier. So we looked at the whole legislation in this area to see how it could better help children, young people who are affected by sexual exploitation. And the two things that we want, loopholes that we want closing. The first is that police have a notice that they can issue to suspected offenders who they think might be abusing a child. And at the moment, if the offender breaches that notice but doesn't go far enough in terms of abducting the child, actually taking the child, the police can't do anything about it because that notice isn't in law. So we want that to be put on the statute books so that just breaching that notice, just not meeting the conditions of that notice is enough to tackle that perpetrator early on. The second one is there is a specific offence about meeting with a child after you've groomed them. And at the moment, the police need to prove that the meeting with the child took place, that there was an intention to abuse that child, but also that the child was contacted twice by the perpetrator before this happened. We think that threshold's too high. Why does the child need to be contacted twice? It just needs to be that one level of contact, and the police have told us that that would help them stop this sooner.
Duncan, how did the grooming take place in your instance, and how has it affected your life in the long term?
Grooming's, I suppose in a way, it's a posh word for manipulation. So we talk about manipulation, and I was manipulated so well that I didn't even realise what had gone on until I was in my late 20s.
So in practical terms, what happened? How were you manipulated?
In my case, it started off with, it was a member of the local community, and it started off with just buying really simple things, befriending me. So I kind of saw this person as a friend more than an older adult. Things like, even simple things, sweets, fast food, and as it kind of went on, it went into records and music and cassette players and that kind of thing. And I suppose it was in my late 20s that I kind of recognised, oh, that thing that person was doing wasn't being nice. It was manipulating me in order for him to be able to do what he wanted to do.
Yes. Would the changes in the law, do you think, have actually made any difference to you? Because you've explained it really well.
I think it would have, in respect of, if the change in the law meant that more people were talking about it,
yes.
if it meant that the society felt it was easy to talk about, then I would have understood, because more people would have been talking, and I would have recognised that that activity wasn't just being nice, that there was a manipulation, that there was a grooming going on.
Isn't there a difficulty definition here, though, Alison? If we're talking about the police being required to act based on one instance of grooming, well, if you have a situation where, for instance, in Duncan's case, this person bought him things, so you're starting off with buying a child a packet of sweets. Now, is that going to be considered, you know, dangerous territory, so to speak?
No, I mean, the meeting that we're talking about, that's mainly where a young person has been abused online, so contact has been made. Perpetrators quite often do a real scattergun approach and just see what comes from that.
Okay, so which happens more, that or the sort of things that happen to Duncan?
Both do, and that's one of the things that's really important to get across. There's no one type of way that young people are abused, unfortunately. So it can happen online, but it can also happen exactly as how Duncan is describing it. And one of the things that parents could really look out for is their child getting bought a new mobile phone? Are they coming home with unexpected gifts, jewellery, things like that? Those are signs that there might be something inappropriate going on.
And that's the important thing, isn't it, Duncan, from your point of view, is that, you know, the grooming behaviour is one thing. It's when it's the line is to the abuse. That's what you want to stop, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You kind of what I sort of read in the report and the recommendations are going to try and stop that happening.
Yeah.
Getting to
but
that
how
point.
do you recognise? I mean, how do you recognise the difference between what is dangerous buying of sweets, etc.? That's what I really want to get at.
I suppose, in a way, there's something about a recognition from my point of view. If I'd have recognised that what this person was doing over a period of time wasn't necessarily healthy, that's what I kind of want to make sure that these recommendations.
So people can put up red flags. And
yeah,
say
absolutely. Yeah. Because buying a child some sweets or some fast food, if you're a friend, if you're a member of the family, etc., isn't a problem.
All right, Duncan, Alison, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
18 minutes past 7. This is Breakfast. These are the main stories this morning.